Hello everyone and welcome to Crime Scene. When I started this channel, it was supposed to be about a whole bunch of crimes. Like I started with Nanette Ellis because there was something about her case that made me want to get involved and try to draw attention to it. But I knew nothing about the case. The only information I had was that she was a 41-year-old single mum to two boys. She worked as an advertising manager at the local newspaper. She was viciously stabbed to death in her own home, and she had been the victim of some vandalization right before her death. But that's it. I didn't really think this was going to go anywhere from there, considering it was such an old case as well. But through some more research and information from some absolutely awesome people who also care about Nanette, I know a whole lot more now than I did back then. But there are still so many questions. I was going to put them all into one video, but I really kind of want to do a deep dive into each one of them, and there are so many, I'm afraid that one video would just be too much. So I'm going to do a video on each question. Please get involved, write your thoughts in the comments. I love reading them, and they're really helpful as well. So let's get started with the first one. How did the killer gain entry? So, to answer the question, how did the killer gain entry? Well, we don't know the answer to this one for sure, so we can only speculate. So what are the options? These are the options that I came up with. If you could think of any other options, let me know in the comments and I'll add them on. But these are the options that I came up with, 6 of them. Number 1, the killer came in while Nanette was unloading the car, which is what the police think happened. Option 2, the killer broke into the house sometime during the day, managed to hide from the kids, and waited until Nanette got home. Option 3, the killer broke in after the time Craig had left, but before Nanette got home and waited for Nanette. Option 4, the killer knocked on the door and pushed Nanette inside when she answered. Option 5, the killer knocked on the door and was let inside by Nanette. And option 6, the killer lived in the house. So let's go through the options. Option 1, the killer came in while Nanette was unloading the car. The police think that the killer gained entry to the house while Nanette was bringing items in from her car. We know she had the vacuum cleaner, newspapers, a Tupperware container, and we know that the Tupperware and the newspapers made it inside the house because I saw a photo of her couch with those items on it. We don't know about the vacuum cleaner for sure because we're not able to see it in any of the photos. If she did bring it inside, she either put it in a cupboard or it's behind the lounge or some other place that was not photographed. So why is this important? Because with the vacuum cleaner, she probably made 2 trips. Without the vacuum cleaner, it was probably only 1. 1 trip means that the killer probably did not gain entry into the house while she was unloading the car. And 2 trips means maybe. Now, since the police think she made more than 1 trip into the house, I'm going to assume the vacuum cleaner did make it inside. Okay, so does that mean the police are right? Well, I never thought much of this theory in the first place. The driveway is short. It was bright daylight outside. People were walking up and down the street and driving down the street because it was the end of the workday. It's not impossible. Maybe they got lucky and managed to run in when nobody was around. But I think someone would have seen some creep lurking about. It also means that this person must have been waiting and watching for her to get home. No witnesses saw anybody on the street watching the house, either standing there or in a car. And it's a pretty narrow street. There weren't many places to hide. It would also have been really lucky to get inside without Nanette herself seeing. If she came back outside while he was running up to the door, then he would have had to push her inside the house, which would have caused a commotion. A neighbour heard Greg scream when he found Nanette's body. I have to imagine they would have also heard Nanette scream if she was being attacked out the front of her house. So option 2, the killer broke into the house sometime during the day, managed to hide from the kids and waited until Nanette was gone. I don't think much of this one because it seems like Craig was there for most of the day working on his car out the front. Someone did suggest that they could have come in through the back, but then they would have had to been jumping fences and going through neighbours' yards and seems unlikely. Option 3, the killer broke in after the time Craig had left, but before Nanette got home and waited for Nanette to come home. I think this one is more likely. I think this one is more possible. For one, it would have been a shorter wait. Secondly, the kids weren't there. The house was empty. The only thing I don't like about this theory is that they would have had to know that the house was empty. Seeing Craig leave is fine. although now we're back to the watching the house theory, which I don't really believe. But even if they did see Craig leave, they wouldn't have seen Greg leave. He jumped the back fence. So this option is more plausible to me than number 2, but still has some sticky bits. They could have just got lucky. There's always that. It's not impossible. Option 4. The killer knocked on the door and pushed Nanette inside when she answered. I think this one could be possible. But why would she answer the door to a stranger, I'm sure you're asking? Well, she may have been a little bit less guarded because it was broad daylight. She may have let her guard down a little bit because she thought it was over. After all, she hadn't had any vandalization for a few days, and she told Craig that she thought it was over that day, according to him anyway. She was also home alone on the Tuesday before and apparently listening to music with headphones on. So it's not impossible that she answered a knock on the door. But you may be saying the attack didn't happen at the door. It happened outside her bedroom. Okay, that's a good point, loyal listener, but hear me out. What if he pulled a knife or a gun on her at the door and ordered her into the bedroom? What if she obeyed until she got to the bedroom door? Then she might have thought she was about to be raped and put up a fight. She might have tried to turn and run and he stabbed her from behind. I actually think this is a pretty good theory. But the one problem is, once again, how did he know that Greg wasn't home? But then again, he could have just got lucky. He could have been some random walking around looking for trouble. Maybe he saw Nanette taking her things in as he was walking down the street and just went for it. Wouldn't be the first time. Option 5. The killer knocked on the door and was let inside by Nanette. Also a good theory in my opinion. If she knew them, or if it was a woman, she might have felt safe enough to let them in, where they then attacked her. Why? We do not know at this point in time, but not entirely impossible. Option 6, the killer lived in the house. Let's not be coy here. We're talking about Craig or Greg. They both lived in the house. Nanette would have felt safe with them. It wouldn't have been weird for them to be there. They certainly wouldn't be the first kids in the world to kill a parent. So what do you think? I think option 1 and 2 are out for me. Option 3 is a maybe. But I think options 4, 5 or 6 are the most likely. Let me know in the comments and look out for the next question.